Geek Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Loughran. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
Hey everybody, this is Meredith Loughran with my co-host and friend Matthew Harris from Geek Insider, and this is Geek Speak. We don't have any special guests today because we have been lining up September like crazy.
And it's so funny because we were just talking about this earlier, where we will go through spurts where we have people knocking on our door, ringing the phone off the hook, of wanting us to interview people, and then it's feast or famine.
I know, it was
another
like
month,
nothing.
it's flatline.
Yep.
But then next week, and we're full for the month. I mean, we've got like one spot open for the rest of September, and that is tentative right now with actually two different people. It's a matter of who we hear from first.
and we're at the point now where we're like, okay, well, if we don't want to go too crazy with this schedule, we can squeeze them in on a day that's not conflicting with anybody else. And that anybody else would be like Comic Book Advocates, because he does the morning, comics news in the morning. Then there's Indie Volt, Breakfast Buzz. Then there's, your show. I was like, we can Shanghai your show, right? And you're like, no. And I'm like, okay.
Well, we could, as a last resort, we could Shanghai Mike a show. But, for those that are tuned in that haven't heard yet, if you're listening on the podcast or you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, if you haven't heard yet, we have actually branched off. We've been doing this Thursday show for a while. Sometimes the time changes to accommodate special guests. But we've actually added a Monday show now, and that Monday show is still available on podcast. It's available on our YouTube, Facebook, yada, yada, yada. But it's also being syndicated on Indie Volt Radio. We are now heard around the world, folks. We had 45,000 listeners this past Monday. We had 56,000 or something like that live listeners just on the radio station. That doesn't count the podcast downloads and the YouTube views and you folks that come in and join us every week. We're just reaching a much wider audience. And that's one reason why we've been so busy this last 2 weeks, is because filling in those spots for Monday night and then continuing to do our Thursday night show, my Wednesday night show. Meredith has so many other shows that she does, and
I said, you know what? I need to cut back. I need to cut back on the shows. I don't know what the hell happened. Again, it's like that feast or famine thing, and I'm like,
And we cut back some of ours, and we were like, okay,
yeah, we did, like bigly, but then all of a sudden we decided, like Geek Speak, we wanted to keep our Thursday night, which is why we're here. And then with Indie Volt, we kind of moved into the Monday night slot because they had an opening over there, and we're like, hey, seize the opportunity while you have it, right?
Yeah. And then go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and basically this show is going to be uploaded, and I'm going to send that over to Lola over at Indie Volt, and it's going to be uploaded to their Roku channel and probably on the radio, somewhere in the lineup. So,
and that's the thing is that it's not just Indie Volt Radio. This show, the video portion that you folks are watching on YouTube. And Facebook, that's going to be on the Indie Volt Roku channel as well. And so, we've been having some really great guests over the past, 8 months, 6, 7, 8 months that we've been doing the show. And we've made some great friends. We've really created friends. I mean, it's not just folks that we interviewed or had conversations with, as we like to call it. But we've made some friends, folks that I get texted all the time from our past guests that just check in. And we've got some of them coming back, or at least one of them in the very near future. and we'll talk about him tonight. And that's what we're going to do tonight, folks. It's going to be a short show tonight. We wanted to come on to share this news about Indie Volt, and for those that haven't heard, and then also kind of lay out who we've got coming over the next month, and then what we've got planned in the very near future. I didn't mention it a minute ago. You know, my show on Wednesday nights, Geeky Cheeky and Downright Freaky, that is also going on to Indie Volt Radio as of next week. This was the last show that is just for the podcast and the YouTube folks. We will also be live on Indie Volt Radio, and folks, you can catch Indie Volt on your Amazon, and there's all kinds of places. But all I know is I can.
Yeah, I was actually, because I was checking it out. It was kind of funny because I went to Streama because I wanted to download the app or see how I could do it because I have an Android. And I was like, okay, well, I got the Android. You know, I downloaded the app on my phone. And I said, no problem. And I, just out of curiosity, I said, you know, let me see if it's available on my my desktop. And sure enough, as soon as I hit it and I got to the station, it started blasting music, and it scared the hell out of me. So, so it works on iOS, you know, your iOS devices, and it works on your desktop. So if you're tuning in to Indie Volt Radio, definitely check out Streama for your listening pleasure. They've got some interesting music. You know, I mean, it's not anything that I listen to on a regular basis, but I don't dislike it either. You know, I was just like, okay, that's new to me music. So that I thought that was cool.
And they have their Indie Volt radio show on the 9s, on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern. Then on Wednesday nights at 9, they have the Indie Chick radio show.
Geekgasm.
Geekgasm, I'm sorry.
Geekgasm on Wednesday nights at 9.
Yeah. And so there's some good talk shows that are over there. And you can also catch those on Indie Volt's YouTube. Make sure, folks, if you haven't already done so, that you jump over to YouTube, go to Indie Volt and subscribe over there, because a lot of the things that are coming up in the very near future, yeah, you can catch them on the radio, you can catch them on the podcast, but I assure you there are some of these shows that you're going to want to watch the video. And you're going to be able to do it on Roku, but that's going to be like a week later when you sign in to either Indie Volt's YouTube or you subscribe to ours. You're going to be able to watch the video live, whether it's on a Monday or Tuesday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night now. And so you'll be able to watch them live. And then, of course, you can also watch the replays. You know, we had guests. It was so funny. We had Jordana Brewster a few weeks ago, and like I played their trailer, and when we came back, her camera was dead. And so luckily it worked for the first little bit, but it died. Spoof. And she was a great guest. I'd love to have her and Jay back on. Yeah. Unfortunately, the tour for promoting the movie, Random Acts of Violence, is over. So we weren't able to get them again for the big show. But if you don't have Shudder, you might want to check it out just for this Random Acts of Violence, man. The movie looked great. You saw it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I didn't get a chance to see that one. I got to see
Unhinged. I left a review on Geek Insider, so you guys need to check it out, and the trailer is over there too. So yeah, definitely check it out. It was one of those things where it's been a long time since I really got into horror movies, because they seem to be either rehashing the old classics, and I'd rather watch the classics, or I just didn't feel connected or scared, or just like psychologically like screwed up afterwards. And I was just but I watched it and I found myself kind of yelling at the screen, going, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. So I am not going to give any spoilers away.
Well,
if you want to watch it, Shudder actually has a really good deal going for a subscription, very reasonably priced. If you love horror, definitely check them out.
And I'm going to have to check them out, because You know, I'm probably going to make some enemies here with this one, but I love horror. I always have, man. I'm an old school Stephen King fan from the novels and the old school movies. I love the old black and whites, the Frankenstein, the Bela Lugosi, and all of that. And I'm a huge horror fan. And what was it last year or the year before? A lot of you I'm going to be nice, folks were talking about, oh, this is the best horror movie that has come out in forever, and it's called Us by Jordan Peele. And I went to the theater to see that, and every one of you that said it was a good movie, you should have to pay me $1 because that was the stupidest freaking horror movie I have ever seen. If you haven't seen it, don't waste your time, man.
Don't waste your time. Oh no.
You could not pay me to watch it again. There were some parts that were okay, but when it got to the whole reveal of what was going on, I was literally, Brenda was too, my wife. We were like, what in the hell? And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it was the stupidest blankety blank storyline I've ever seen. And people are still touting that as a great movie. And don't get me wrong, I like Jordan Peele. That other one, Get Out, that was a badass movie. I enjoyed it. And so I thought that this one would be okay. And Christian, it's called Us.
Yeah, Christian Basel. You know what? And speaking of Christian Basel, I'm going to play this.
This is the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
All right, a little bit of love to Christian Basel, and the reason why,
because he's going to be joining us Monday night for our Indie Volt radio show.
Yep.
And so folks, if you like Doctor Who, then you definitely need to tune in to this radio show, the podcast with Christian, because not only do they talk all things Doctor Who, he has had some great guests on there. And I'm not going to give away the whole thing of how the show came about and all that, because that's part of the fun for you to discover the show. But Christian and oh crap, I'm forgetting her name. His his producer, Melanie, thank you. But they are great. It's really a great show over there. And Renee, The Conjuring, that one scared the crap out of a lot of people. And Renee is my sister from the same mister. And and Christian, you better be. You're on the calendar, man. And
girl's scariest movie ever. You know what? Speaking of scary movies, I wanted, just scary in general. I wanted to pop this up here really quickly. Let me get rid of the comment here, so we're not doing that. And I wanted to pop this up here. So that QR code is going to the IndieVent website, and that is going to be updated pretty soon. It is right now updated with the Saturday lineup of the guests that we had last weekend. It was a great event. We are actually going to be doing, I'm actually taking that 6-hour live stream that we had and cutting that into the bite-sized pieces so that all of the guests who were there to pitch their books, they're going to have a QR code that is directed to where you can buy their books directly. But where it says it's coming November 9th through 13th, we're doing something a little bit different. We're giving you guys back your weekend. And what we're doing is I am already starting to book people for this event. It's Monday through Friday. It ends on Friday the 13th, which I absolutely love. When I looked at the calendar, I was like, oh, that's perfect. It's perfect because we didn't want it to be right on Halloween.
Right. We didn't want, we were hoping that some of the brick and mortar cons would be able to open up in October. And then, of course, there's all the haunted houses going on in October. and there's just other things that have been established for a long time that center around Halloween and horror. And then, so yeah, when she came to me and she was like, because we had talked September, we had talked October, and we've been planning this, or had it in our heads since April when we did the first virtual con. This was actually going to be our second one. And then the glutton for punishments that we've done 4 more since then. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a fool, but I love it.
but yeah, and as she said, we're already starting to sign up some guests, but we have some, when we're talking horror, we've got some really special folks in mind. We will announce as soon as we have the dates and times for sure who is coming. But we've got some stuff planned. This isn't going to be just your run-of-the-mill, virtual get-together. Yes, we're going to have a lot of indies. We love the indies. That's one thing you should know about Geek Insider by now, is that we love the indies. We've got some deals going on or that are being worked on to even expand that reach even more. Hoping to hear more about that tomorrow myself. But yeah, we've got some horror stuff that is lined up. And so that being said, if you or someone you know or love is involved in horror writing books, I don't care if it's indie self-published or they've got 20 mainstream books, or if you're buddies with Stephen King, we want anybody and everybody that's horror related for that week. We've got a lot of time slots open. If you have a show that deals with creepy missing people or unsolved mysteries, anything that kind of goes along with that horror thing, then we want to hear from you if you want to be involved, because we will also be doing kind of what we've done in the past, where we let other shows come in and be under that umbrella, so to speak. So, because it gives us a break.
Well, yeah, but you know what? It adds their show to the playlist, which is nice because we have a centralized playlist. And when I get your link and add it to our playlist, it highlights your YouTube channel. So if you're looking to grow your YouTube channel and you find it there, and it's shared across multiple platforms. So it's really convenient and it's really nice to help network. But it's not just movies. We are looking for comic books. If you do horror, poetry, movies, music, and I say horror, thrillers, crime, goth, thrillers, noir, anything like that. If that is your field, if that is what you
say, that like you say that one word like such a New Yorker.
Noir?
Yes. Exactly.
What is that? Like noir? How do you say it?
Noir. Yeah.
Noir.
But I probably just say it like a Texan. I mean, this accent. But
yeah, let me flash this card again. So you want to make sure that you go to this QR code or go to indievent.com, INDEEVENT, and bookmark that, because it is going to be updated with lots of things and events that are coming up. So I actually wanted to give a shout out to Pops Van Zant, because he's got PromCon 6 coming up, and that is this weekend. I am going to be there. I have an hour slot, and probably talking about the same thing with the events and people and guests that we are going to have lined up for Geek Insider through the month of September. And kind of talking about the other hats that I have, because it's not just Geek Insider, but I represent Terraform Comics as well, and I kind of do my own writing. So, but Matthew, if you are available, I would love for you to sit with me at CromCon for an hour and just talk Geek Insider, because we're doing so much. And
just let me know the time and where to be, and I'll be there. I'm usually here on the weekends doing some kind of writing or editing or something, or preparing for a show, in which, if these shows keep going like this, I'm going to have to start prepping well in advance.
Yeah. We're
It's a nice problem to have, though. It's a nice problem to have. Don't get me wrong.
Well, and kind of going down the list and what we're doing in September. Speaking of,
I was just pulling up that calendar.
How I segued into that. We've got Mark Darden coming on on September 10th, and he's going to talk with us on Geek Speak. And this is a QR code that is directed to his Kickstarter that launches on the 15th. So if you're at all interested. Such a funny book, and Mark is so fun to hang out with, and he just loves comic books. And
I've only got to meet him in passing at one of the events recently, so I'm looking forward to having him on next week.
So yeah, the Guano guy is it's really a fun read, and it's kind of funny because I want to say we all know that guy or girl. We all know the person who is just like, I'm only going to smile because I know a camera is there. I'm only going to save the day because I know I'm going to get a mention in the newspaper. It's one of those things. It's really kind of funny. But such a good sense of humor, really funny. He likes to shout out the Tick and a few other things that are the inspiration behind the Guano.
You can definitely see the Tick influence on the comic. And then the next week is kind of the Monday for the Monday show. Like we said, the 7th is Christian Basel. The 10th is Mark Darden, but the 14th, that one for the Monday night show is still tentative. Now,
I've got
there's one of two.
Universe.
Well, there's one of two people because we've got Cyborgs Universe that's tentative, but I also have a really big tentative for that same day. It's a matter of who says yes, we will be.
It'll be a special 2-hour event. I don't know, maybe. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But see, here's the thing. We were trying to get Leonardo Corbucci. And he's in Italy right now. So it's like 2:00 in the morning or something ridiculous. And he's going to be back in LA pretty soon. So we're like, let's pencil you in right now. So I'm putting up his card because this is another one of those shows where he's kind of got like an underground following that just loves it. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. I don't think that there's very much in between, Matthew.
Yeah, it was one of those things that for me, I'm not a big sci-fi guy. It was still a cool concept, but what drew it in for me was Leonardo. Leonardo is just such a great guy. He's so personable and talented. And then he really has a lot of passion in this project. And then to find out that, it is on Amazon Prime, which we're going to show a little clip of it here in just a minute, or the trailer. But it's Cyborgs Universe, and you can find it on Amazon Prime. If you like sci-fi, you should you should definitely check it out because it's a big hit, especially going over in Asia. And I forget all the countries. We'll talk about it when we have Leonardo on. But he got an award for like 1 million downloads in this country and 2 million downloads in that country. I'm speaking out my ass. I just know he got awards for the most downloads in certain areas, or not most, but hitting those downloads. But take a look. Let's go ahead and show them the trailer for Cyborgs.
Yeah, I'm not going to play all 4 minutes of it because I don't want to get dinged by the YouTube police. But we'll play bits and pieces, and then you just yell when it's time to pause it.
He's doing all this for a good cause. He wants to create a team to protect the world. Yeah, from his own robot. All these theories are right. Know how this is going to happen.
And like I said, I don't want to get into trouble because we're playing the whole thing. But we might continue on. Just take a little break here and kind of screw up the algorithm a little bit.
Well, and we can do the Fair Use Act because we're talking about it and we're dissecting it. But it really and truly, folks, when you go and check this out, I do have to give you a caveat that the first episode is not a representation of the rest of the series because there's 2 seasons, isn't there, Meredith?
I think they're on the 3rd one.
Well, I think they're about to launch the 3rd one. That's what they were working on when the worldwide pause hit. And I'm not sure what he is working on in Italy there, but we're excited to have him back, not only to discuss Cyborgs Universe. He alluded to the fact that he's got a project going on or in the works with someone, a big name from The Walking Dead. And so we're excited, hopefully, to hear an update on that project. And then, like I said, Leonardo he was a great guy. We really enjoyed meeting him. And he was one of the first ones we thought of.
Yeah, just to sit down, and I think that's one of the fun things about our show, Matthew, with Geek Speak, is that it's not really an interview. I mean, none of us have cue cards or anything like that, or flashcards with gotcha questions or anything like that. We really love to sit with our guests and have a casual conversation. What's up? What's going on with life? And then
let them take the conversation. Let them steer the conversation. We're going to talk about whatever. Go ahead.
Right. But we are very aware of, if they have something that they need to pitch, we are very aware of that. And we give them plenty of time to pitch. We try to have things like, the YouTube trailers or the links that go over to their site and things like that. And I mean, we do promo. Geek Insider definitely does promo, but our interviews are more like, I don't know, I call them like coffee table chats.
Yeah, when I approach the PR folks, because a lot of the times they're like, well, you saw one today. Do you have a list of the questions that you're going to ask?
Yeah, and we're like, no.
Because I might have 1 or 2 when I'm going through researching the client or the guest. I will come up with 1 or 2, and maybe sometimes, like if one of the big ones comes that I'm wanting, my big get that is huge for me, I'll probably have a few questions written down, but that's just or at least talking points. But for the most part, we just we'll ask those questions at the beginning, and then we just kind of go wherever our minds take us and springboarding off of whatever the guest has said. And I probably shouldn't reveal this, but one of the measurements that Meredith and I have of our guests is, you know what I'm about to say.
I know what you're going to say.
Is when we have these folks on, whether they are, indies or they're mainstream, is if they drop the F-bomb, we feel that we made that connection. And so far, the only ones that hasn't was a pastor. And if I had have made him drop the F-bomb, I would have retired and just felt accomplished forever. But no, otherwise,
you're going to hell.
right. You made the pastor swear, but no, and we've had some killer F-bombs drop, because we always tell the guests before we go live that, look, we don't have it. Huh?
Yeah. No limitations on language, as long as it's not abusive,
right. We don't want name calling or racist rhetoric and stuff like that. Hell no. I'll cut you off and kick you out of the studio. But just to sit there and bullshit and have a conversation with these folks. And I'll tell you a little something, folks. If you want to hear a great F-bomb, go listen to the Jay and Jordana Brewster interview. I love that. That's my favorite one. That is my favorite one by far.
It's mine too, but I try not to promote it too much, because I want guests to come back.
Right. And don't want Jordana to get canceled, with the culture. But yeah, that was my favorite one so far.
Preface that by saying she's never said anything that I personally haven't said.
Oh
about my
no, I've said worse. I've said worse in my sleep, So no, but that's the kind of fun we like to have. Is that we're comfortable. Yes, they know they're on camera and they know that we are promoting whatever project is that they're wanting to promote at that time, but we're not grilling them. We're not trying to get them in a gotcha moment, like Meredith said, and we don't bring up embarrassing moments from their past. Even, when we go off camera, generally we keep the guests so that we can speak to them for a few minutes behind the scenes. And then we might ask them some stuff that we didn't ask on camera because it was outside the scope of the interview. Like, I may ask about personal relationships or upcoming projects like I did with Jordana. And it's stuff that I'm not going to reveal. It's off the record, so to speak. But because I'm a fan of both Jay and Jordana, I had specific questions I wanted to ask them, but it wasn't pertaining to the movie. And so I wasn't going to ask it on camera.
It was off the record, and we keep those things to ourselves, and sometimes we have gems. Real gems, and,
yeah, we do.
But in a good way, and again, no gotcha moments. So it's just one of those things where we love to just sit down and have a casual conversation with our guests. And speaking of guests, moving on with the calendar.
Yeah.
On September 17th, I've got Scott Donnelly and Evan Bond. They're going to both sit with me. They are authors of horror and thrillers. And I don't have their QR code ready yet. I know. I know.
Slacker.
I know, right? Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, if y'all knew how busy Meredith is, I give her hell all the time. I'll call her a slacker. She knows that I'm kidding because Meredith is always busy.
You don't need a nap.
And she'll come in at 10 in the morning, her time or my time. And she's like, sorry, guys, I didn't go to sleep till 5 a.m. And I'm back up. And so she's had 3-4 hours sleep. And I'm like, slacker, you've got this, and this to do. And I've got this on your plate. And then I voluntold you for this. That is my favorite word to use against Meredith. And
I voluntold you for plenty too. So.
Oh yeah. And we voluntold Rhett for a lot of stuff.
Everybody's like, who's Rhett? Who's this Rhett guy?
Right. And what's funny? I think he has an aversion to the camera or something because we've invited him on to be interviewed
for months,
and he turns it down. And folks, Rhett is actually the owner of Geek Insider. He is he lets us be the brains. He lets Meredith and I really do what we want to do with the website.
Yeah, he gave us the keys. I'm like, what? He must be insane.
But he loves what we're doing here. We're doing a lot of the things that he wanted to do for the last several years because Geek Insider has been around going on 9 years now. And he wanted to do these podcasts and building up the YouTube and building up the PR, the public press releases and the public relations, so to speak. And it just never got to that point until we came in and we were like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And, sure, he makes his opinion heard and this is his baby, but he loves what we're doing. He supports us 110%. And Rhett's a great guy. One of these days I'm going to get his ass on here, but I do want to say to you folks up in the Maryland area, that whole northeast area, I hope y'all are staying safe. Rhett is in that area. He just had a tornado that he said was about 500 yards from his home. And so he said there wasn't no deaths reported, which, I'm glad that the sun was still out. Those are usually less deadly. It's those midnight ones that are so devastating. But you folks that are in the Northeast, please pay attention to your weather alerts. Make sure you're taking cover. You're taking the proper precautions because, we're getting into that damn time of year. I live in Tornado Alley, folks. I have lived through so many tornadoes. I really don't even get nervous anymore when we're under an alert. I just kind of go to the closet, take my computer and keep working. It's just what you do, what you got to do. But yeah. And then so after that week, who do we got coming up?
We've got the Dead Enders. Now,
I'm looking forward to this one.
They are fun. Now, I saw the first episode, the pilot episode of the Dead Enders, and I was just I had such a good time because the characters and how they're developing them are so fun. That QR code actually goes to the YouTube channel, and definitely check them out. Give them a subscribe, and tell them that Geek Insider sent you, because we're going to have them on the 21st, and they were so excited. I think they got the entire cast to show up, so it's
And
going to
they've
full.
been excited about joining us for a little while here, and we've kind of not put them off, but we've had to bump them because we had the Monday night show starting, we had the indie event going, they were ending a season.
They had just finished the season, and I said, "Are you guys getting a little closer to launching season 2?" And I still didn't get the answer to that. So maybe
You did. Yeah,
out.
they were working on it. They had the scripting. I think we'll have to ask them on the show, but yeah, they did reply that it's under works, but they haven't started filming yet. Or recording
and
yet.
one of the things about that, this is what with indie creators, we're scrappy. We are scrappy, and when we have something that we want to do, a creative endeavor, we're going to find a way. We're going to make a way to make it happen. And what they did was they basically made a show using Zoom. And they're not the first one, and there are several more. In fact, I'm going to out myself. I actually have a role in one of Jake Estrada's movies called Zoomed.
And she's got a freaking IMDb credit for it, folks, and which now I do too. Which I got to go create a profile and everything for.
Yeah, well, we put Geek Speak on IMDb because it is technically a web show.
So.
And I said, why not? So I've actually got to go in there and update it with all of the episodes. But yeah, you've got a credit. I've got a credit. Why not? I mean, you only live once, right?
Right.
And
but
what's sad is that IMDb thing. It's got that meter that says where you rank, and so like if nobody's looked up your name, you tank like fast. And I'm like, no, where else can I put my link?
Well, and the thing is, with my name, Matthew Harris, there are a ton that are in entertainment and on IMDb, and I mean a ton. Whether they are,
You've got one now.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna have to get the K added in there or something to kind of distinguish me, because there's a crap load of Matthew Harris's. And what's funny is that I've seen throughout my life is almost every Matthew Harris I've ever met has been African American, and that it kind of goes with it. If I grow my hair out, it's very curly, and we won't get into it, but there is a reason that I think I was named Matthew Harris, but no, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what? Before we go on to the next one, I wanted to give a little love to Indie Volt with the Sunday Funnies. This is Randy Zimmerman's show, Sunday mornings. Here we go.
Now, every Sunday morning, longtime independent comics creator and Indie Volt podcaster Randy Zimmerman hosts a discussion on the lighter side of comics, the more whimsical and fun comics out there, on the Sunday Funnies. That's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday on Indie Volt, indievolt.com, the Indie Volt YouTube channel, and the usual Indie Volt sites on Facebook. Listen in, won't you? Participate in the chat. Let's have some fun. See you there.
That show, I've got to tune into it, but for a Sunday, that's just too damn early for me.
They've always got the replay, and
I know, and that's what I'll hit is the replay, because like I was talking to
the YouTube channel over at Indie Volt. So if you go, you're going to see the Sunday Funnies, and you'll be able to see Comics Newswire, Geekgasms there. I think Indie Volt Live's there. So.
Yep.
Definitely check out the Indie Volt YouTube channel and give them a subscribe too, because
you know what I had the thought the other day. You know, Randy does this little, it's the comics, the Sunday funnies, and I've got that other show that is on the back burner right now. But I thought that would be a great little follow up to come behind him is the Not So Happy Hour. You've got the Sunday Funnies, and then the Not So Happy Hour right after. But
why do you have to be so difficult?
well, you got to have that balance, the yin and the yang. If we're going to do something nice, and Randy's coming in early in the morning and talking good funnies, then I can come in and just be an asshole and bitch about everything. But that's down the road. Right now, look, I'm reaching for my glasses, and right now we're focusing on Geek Speak and the Geeky Cheeky and Downright Freaky, because those are on Indie Vote, or the Geeky Cheeky is going on there next week. And I am going to be having some guests as well. The format's not going to change for Geeky Cheeky. I'm still going to have videos and images. I've just got to change my thinking and just be more descriptive so that the radio audience gets that as well. I'm hoping some of that radio audience is able to go to YouTube, or at least catch the replay on Roku, and so that they can see that kind of stuff, because a lot of this freaky shit that we talk about, you have to have, a visual representation. There's some that I'm going to be covering in the near future that is audio and stuff that you don't have to see. And I will be trying to stick on those topics that does translate well, both visually and audibly.
Well, Matthew, you are a writer, so you can describe the things that you're seeing too.
Yeah, I just got to make sure that I do that, because I've been focused on, I'm seeing myself in the camera, I'm seeing the videos that I'm playing. And so I've just had that video kind of frame of mind for the last 6 months or whatever we've been doing the show. And so I just got to switch that gears, because I've always said, this from day one, I've always said I got a face for radio. So this is just perfect to get on Indie Vote. And it's just my element. This is something that I've done since the launch of the internet, folks. I used to do a streaming show back when they called it streaming, through the Real Player. And I was known as, we had Rebel Radio at one point, and I played a bunch of music. We actually paid ASCAP and BMI fees and all that crap. It was a pain in the butt. But yeah, so I did have a radio show way back in the day. And so jumping into this kind of stuff is my element, the stuff that I would have always wanted to do. I love writing, don't get me wrong, just as much as Meredith does, but this kind of stuff right here, it's fun. Meredith touched on it earlier, and I really want to stress this for everybody, that, sure, it's cool to meet celebrities and to meet folks they're mainstream, but the networking that we have made in the last 6 months, 8 months has just been phenomenal. We have met some great folks. I don't want Christian's head to get too big, but Christian Basel and Brian K. Morris and Rob Anderson, Varian Grant, or Grant. The list, and I'm gonna leave somebody off. Pops and
Rob Anderson's another.
I said Rob. I did say Rob. Phil, Demon Phil. All of these guys, and then also the guests that we've met over the year, or over the months, and then of course Luke Stone. He's one. I had him on my show a couple of times. We've had him on here. We're talking about his comic. He's got, folks, if y'all haven't backed it yet, he's just over the halfway mark as far as funding and time goes. You go to Indiegogo.
I bought him a cup of coffee today. It was a $5 donation, because I do have his books. But yeah, if you're like, I've already got his books, I'll wait for the trade paperback when Comic-Cons are open again and stuff like that. Maybe get a signed copy or whatever. That's fine and good. But he has a lot of different levels where you can, if you're not familiar with the Hybrids universe, you can get the first issue, and learn about Trash Man. And that's kind of your gateway into the whole universe. And so if you love mythology, if you love ancient aliens, if you love conspiracy theories, let me tell you something. I kind of grew up with the Sunday Funnies. that because we were poor. I mean, we couldn't afford anything. I mean, we were lucky to have like steak for dinner once a week. You know, it was like that kind of budget. If that, you know, basically it was like liver and onions. So buying comic books was not in the picture, but my father would bring home the paper. And it was always the first thing that we all went to, especially on Sundays. That was like the family thing. And
Yeah,
so
you had like
I
5
always
pages in color, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had that, you know, I grew up with the appreciation of it. And to this day, whenever I get a newspaper, it's the first thing I read. I read the funnies, and then I read the obits, and then I go to sports, and then I go to the front of the page. It's weird. It's what I do. But you know, reading that and kind of getting a taste for the Hybrids universe, going back to Luke Stone, because I got a little sidetracked there, but it is a really good story. The story arc is there, and it's going into, you know, I know that he's working into the next one. And I'm going to say that I have a little bit of a dog in this fight, because if he hits the $8,000 stretch goal, he's adding 12 more pages. And what he did with those pages was he invited writers to and other collaborators to submit 2 pages to add to the book. I'm one of those stories. So if that hits 8,000, I get my first comic book credit, which I think is the coolest
This is
thing.
insider trading. This is insider trading.
Little nepotism goes a long way, Matthew. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, and that would be great. I know how thrilling that would be to have your first comic book credit. You know, we both of us have writings all over the place. Some of it has our name on it, some of it doesn't. I've done a lot of ghost writing. I know you have. I've ghostwritten books for people on freaking topics.
That's something that we should talk about. Maybe not on a Geek Speak, but you know, ghostwriting and why it's okay to let go of some work and not others.
Right.
You know?
Now, and I think that would be a great Geek Speak topic, actually, especially if we could get some other ghostwriters in, folks that, you know, that do that as a living. I got away from it because, well, one, the company I was working for, it just didn't pay that well. But 2, I want my damn name on stuff. If I'm going to write stuff, if it's good enough,
That's our legacy.
Exactly. If I'm going to write stuff that it's good enough for somebody else to put their name on it, then by golly, I can write something of mine, because trust me, I've got notebooks full of ideas and stuff. If I can take the time to write for them, then I need to be writing for myself and putting my name on there.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to play a really short clip, and this is for Luke Stone Hybrids. We'll be right back after this.
New from Terraform Comics, Hybrids, The Sons of Gods, Volume 1, Trash Day. When everyday people develop godlike abilities, it is up to a small band of heroes to expose an evil superhuman trafficking ring. This 128-page volume merges history with fiction in an exciting, fast-paced adventure. Get your copy now.
Like I said, nepotism in action.
Hey, if we can't use this show to promote our own interests,
Self-promotion.
right? Shameless self-promotion. Who else did we have? I know we are hammering out one.
We're almost at the end of September. So Lisha Tan is a stop motion animator and director. I'm not that familiar with her work, or maybe I am and I don't know it.
Right. She's one that came across my desk earlier in the week. It was actually a public relations company, and they had a list of clients. And she was the first one that jumped out to me because I love animation. I love stop motion, and she's a director. And I just saw some of her stuff, and some of it looked really cool. Like I'd like to eat a few mushrooms and watch her stuff, or maybe some good old fashioned LSD, and watch her stuff. But it looked really cool, and so I made it. Hey, if in case you can't tell by the beard and the tattoos, I am an old school hippie, and hallucinogens are always cool in my bank. But yeah, no, her stuff looked really cool. And so I wrote back and I asked, and so yes, we have just got to hammer out the small details, but yes, she's going to be on the 24th.
All right, and then the 28th we have Brea Grant. Now this one looks really cool. I've seen the graphic novel. I'm reading through it at my leisure, and I am having so much fun doing it. She is a filmmaker and graphic novel writer of Mary, The Adventures of Mary Shelley's great granddaughter.
And that's all we're going to say about it right now, because I want her to talk about it on the show. Rob Rob's going to do a review, right? Yeah, if he hasn't posted it yet, it should be coming up here pretty quick. And then we are going to have her on, and then actually Meredith is either going to be in the background. She might be up here in the front, but it's going to be Rob and I that are interviewing. Yep. I didn't even ask her. I just told her, you're off the show for that night. Actually, it was her idea.
I see where this is going.
It was your idea. Now, come on.
It was. You know what? Give the love, give the seat to somebody else. You know what? If it gives me a day off, chances are I'm going to be in the green room yelling at them to say, "Hey, it's time to do a break."
And the thing is that Rob checks out a lot of comics, and he sees a lot of projects come across his desk, and he really liked this one. He said it was pretty damn cool.
And speaking of Rob and the Comic Book Advocates Network, I'm going to put this up here because, Geek Insider, we do a lot of stuff with indie, but we do tech, music, all kinds of stuff. And one of the things that was suffering was, I think, the comic books.
Oh, definitely.
And quite honestly, Matthew, I know that we had this discussion before because I think it really happened after I went to Space Coast Comic Con, and I met so many of the comic book creators, and we started having more and more interviews with them. And then I kind of tripped into this comic book world, which I am fully embracing. And then kind of seeing what Geek Insider was doing, I says, you know what, we're not doing right by comic books, because this industry is huge. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Keanu Reeves comic book.
Oh, yeah. I haven't looked today. I have not looked today.
All right. So, but that's what I mean. It's like these, now he might be mainstream, but his comic book coming out, would you consider that indie? Because that's not indie money.
Well, it's not indie money, but it's still it's not one of the big publishers. They are looking at independent publishing, independent distribution. And so, it's a total independent. But the names besides Keanu Reeves that are behind this, guys, I don't know if y'all heard about it yet, but they had a $50,000 goal. They hit that within the first half hour. Then last I looked yesterday, they were at $350,000 within the first few hours. And I'm afraid to look
now. I'm looking it up now because it's
but it's called Berserker, BRZKR. I think it's abbreviated like you would on a license plate or something. But it does look like a kick-ass comic. He even is putting the sad Kiona meme in the damn comic.
I thought that was funny. We found that on Screen Rant. Yeah, he broke the 500,000 mark.
Damn.
Crazy.
And barely 24 hours. And this is a comic book, folks. Now, of course, yes, this is Keanu Reeves. And if you go through and you watch the video there and you read the artists that are involved and stuff, and just like she's showing the beautiful artwork. But the big thing is that independent comics are making a huge drive right now. There's been a lot of Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaigns that have been very successful lately, very successful. And sure, some of them have been big names like Todd McFarlane. He had a and who wouldn't expect him to have a hugely successful, Kickstarter? It's Todd McFarlane. But look, I mean, Tier 10 already sold out. And this, we're talking about 24 hours. At least they're putting up the stretch goals now. Yesterday, I think they totally got blindsided by how.
I don't think that they were expecting. I don't think that they were expecting this at all.
No, because what you're showing now with the locked stretch goals, that wasn't available yesterday, and people were screaming, "There's sad Kino, Kino."
And that's the thing that I love is that he took something. It's a known meme that's been out for a couple of years, and he says, "I don't know whose idea it was. I would love to find out who."
It was his.
Was it Keanu's?
Yes. When I went and I think it even says it on the site, or maybe it was the article on Screen Rant that I read. But yeah, it says that Keanu went in there and was like, because they asked him, have you ever considered doing your own comedy? He's like, yeah. And but he said it would be really, really cool if we could get the sad Keanu meme put in the comic somewhere. And the artist or somebody they were really grateful or thankful that it did end up in the final cut of the comic. But these are the kind of things, folks. We've been saying this since April when everything shut down and we started the first virtual con of ours, that this is the time of the indies. This is the time that everybody, that if you've had an idea for a story or a comic, this is when you should be buckling down and at least doing an hour's worth of work every day. But then also trying to get your networking going, because there's a lot of talented individuals out there. And that's what one of our goals here is at Geek Insider, is to bring those talents together. And some of the networking that has been done over the last 7 months or whatever April to now is, but some of the friendships that have been made, some of the collaborations that are slated or are starting to move forward. And I can't say it's all because of us, of course, because there's been other cons and other get-togethers. Pops does his. Indie Vault has done some great little things as well. But, we were one of the first, pat on back, but we were one of the first. And this is the kind of stuff that we enjoy, the indie creators. And going on the indie side of things, I mentioned earlier, that we had Leonardo Corbucci as a tentative for a date in September. But if Leonardo doesn't come, or this other person schedules first, we're going to have a different guest, which is none other than Billy Tucci, who is the creator of the She comic. That's SHI, which is Japanese for death. And this is a comic that I have been a fan of since day one, actually since pre-day one. I pre-ordered the first two comics out of Diamond Distribution or some magazine. I don't remember what. And I am stoked on this one. We are going to have Billy, from what him and his wife say. It's just a matter of when. It's going to be hopefully in September. It's going to be on a Monday for sure. We're going to have him on the Indie Vote radio show because I want to bring more people to his comic, and B, I just want to share him with as many people as possible because he's cool as hell, for one thing. I've talked to him several times in the early age of the comic, and when I went to him this time and asked them to come on the show, it was just badass. I won't go into what was said, but it really made me feel all the more that this was the right thing to do, of having him come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, if you are checking out, if you're watching on YouTube or the live stream or the replay, check out down here on our little scroll. If you want to be a guest on Geek Speak, or if you want to participate in the next indie event in November, contact me at meredith@geekinsider.com. For advertising, or Matthew, I'm going to say writing opportunities, right? I mean, are we still looking for guest writers? Because we only have like another minute or so, before we.
Yeah, anybody that's wanting to write or has press releases. If you've got something coming out, you are doing a Kickstarter. I don't particularly like doing the Kickstarters at the beginning unless you're somebody that we know and that you've had some successful ones, but still reach out. Matthew at geekinsider.com. Because and
advertising opportunities too, because I know we have like Mobile Edge, which we have a coupon code for. We'll probably play that at the very end. But between links in within articles, right? Press releases and other promo that's on the site,
and
plus our podcast.
And we've got a game coming. I don't know if we'll play it with Christian or if we're going to save it for Leo or Billy, but we've got the Geek Gauntlet coming, and that's something that is sponsored as well by advertising. And the guests are going to be able to donate up to $100 to the charity of their choice. Cool. So if you're interested in any kind of advertising, somebody that is or with a PR firm, or they have some kind of upcoming project, get with us. Because folks, if you haven't been able to tell so far, with the indies, of course, we're not all about the money. It is about helping each other. And then, of course, we've got to keep the lights on. We got to keep the internet, the sites up, and paying the bills for these podcasts and all of this stuff. But we want that networking. And so if you have something going on and you want to see about some advertising, drop me a line, Matthew at geekinsider.com. Meredith, take us out of here.
I was going to say, and speaking of paying the bills, here's a little love for Mobile Edge.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out. You've been tuning in to Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Loughran, a Geek Insider presentation. Subscribe to the Geek Insider podcast on your favorite listening app and sign up for the newsletter on our website. We also have advertising opportunities through the website, podcast, and newsletter. For details, contact advertising at geekinsider.com. This has been a Geek Insider production. Thank you for listening. Geek out.